What's up, Thrallers? Miller here.
Jammin Jon.
And we are coming to you at the very un-rock and roll hour of 8 in the morning.
It's almost 9.
Yeah, it's almost 9, so we're getting close to the rock and roll hour of noon, right? But we're here to bring you the review of Archspire's newest release, Bleed the Future. Now, Archspire is from Vancouver, British Columbia, and formed in 2007 as Defenestrated. I do believe it was...
oh, yeah.
Yeah, Defenestrated, but later changed their name in 2009 to Archspire. And 2013, signed with Seasons of Mist, who is releasing this album, their fourth. And yeah, for someone like me that's not overly into tech death, this album is pretty killer. And I enjoyed it. I listened to it back to back right away because it was that good. I wanted to hear those little snippets of these riffs that I like, because sometimes you don't get too much of them.
But sometimes you can't catch them all because, you know, they're done at like 400 beats a minute, which is impressive in itself. And for, although tech death is known for stuff like that, most of it's all noodling, and that's not the case in this record. There is so much groove for that much speed, it's sick.
Yeah, and everything is tied together really well. All the riffs make sense musically. They carry a theme throughout their songs and kind of the album a little bit. It doesn't have quite the album feel like some of the releases that we've had this year, but they stick to a main kind of theme within the song, making all the parts mold together, which is fairly uncommon for tech death. Usually tech death, it's very like this riff, that riff, this riff, that riff, at breakneck speed. They do the breakneck speed, but they, like I said, they tie everything in really nicely.
They really ride out groove, like in the title track, actually, Bleed the Future. That's how I think tech death should be done. Blazing speed, but still focusing on groove, where you don't really lose attention from anybody. Where it's not like you're asking what's going on. You know what's going on, and you could jam to it. It's just at a speed unrecommendable. I do have to say, I really like the drums overall on this record. Now I'm a drummer too, so I guess I'm biased. But the drums in this album, I think what I like the most outside of the incredible speed is the fact that I know there's triggers, but it doesn't sound overdone. It doesn't sound, the kicks aren't too clicky. His snare, actually, in my opinion, is way better than it was in the record before it.
Yes.
But holy fuck, man.
And in Bleed the Future, there's a riff. It's right after that big vocal line. Toward the beginning, there's this little break, and I wish that they would have drawn that out a little bit more instead of just having that riff just for one bar. Let It Breathe. It's really badass, and you know, I'll go back to it to hear that part. I think they could have broke that tech death standard mold if they would have maybe drawn that out a little bit more to make it groove a little bit more. Let It Breathe. Yeah, it would make the song have that much more of a hook to it without really compromising the tech death standard or you know, what you got to do in tech death.
Well, I liked that they did that kind of in the next song, the Drain of Incarnation. First of all, the intro for that song is absolutely beautiful. Mellow, clean tone guitar. That's something else I want to bring up. Dude, the guitar tone in this is just wonderful. Their rhythm, you can hear each and every chug. The lead work, first of all, I love the neoclassical feel. I love it. And I don't know why I kept getting reminded of the Human Abstract, which is definitely not Archspire. But I love the neoclassical feels. Anyway.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like Yngwie meets Beneath the Massacre.
I don't like fucking dogs, alright? Hostile.
Anyway, though, in this song with the beautiful, beautiful melody and the bass intro, by the way, congrats on the bass work. I think this might be the slowest they've ever played a riff, is in the beginning of this song. It's still really fast, but it's slow for these guys. And I like that they slowed it down and let that song kind of breathe a bit.
Yeah, and this is a good example, this song in particular, of, like I said, tying a theme together where that opening intro, although it clean, it still ties together, and they keep that theme going throughout the heavier riffs, which make that song a song and not just riff A, riff B, riff C, riff A, riff C, riff D, you know?
Oh my dear
God.
God.
We're breaking stuff.
I was moving, I was happy. This record made me happy.
And Acid Cannon, going back to what I was saying about letting riffs breathe a little bit, in the bridge, they give that riff its due due time to breathe, and it really makes that song stand out because it's more of a hook. You can latch on to that. It's something that you can hear, you can process, then you have time to like it, and you have time to remember it. Yep. Whereas some of those other riffs, when they do it with one bar, you just have time to hear it. You haven't caught that process because it is going at such a high rate of speed.
I wish I could do that.
You really need, if for us that have been doing this for a long time, I can grab onto that and hear it and do all those things in one bar. But for the average person, I don't know that they have the time to really take in what they're hearing sonically and have their brain process it, especially if they're not used to this type of music.
But I think that's how you do it as a band too. I think you want to make it so that people don't grasp onto it the first time, so they have to listen to it a second time, and I'm sure I'm going to go back, because this is today when I jammed this to take the notes, it was like the 5th time I've jammed this record this week, which isn't that long because it hadn't been out that long. But yeah, I still catch new things every time, and that's the really cool thing I think about music like this too.
First track on the album, Drone Corpse Aviator, picks up right where the last album left off. I mean, they left off with a breakneck fucking tech death thing, and they start right up where they left off to let you know that, hey, we're doing the same thing we've been doing, but that's okay because it's good.
Yep. I also want to compliment the video for this. Now, there's 2 versions of the video for this. The one is the actual just video, which is kind of gross. But the second version is where the band have their moms watch the video to see what they think of it, dude. And it's the best video ever. That is such a good idea, and it was really the best video ever.
That's awesome. In researching a little bit about these guys, I've seen some stuff about them personally, like interviews and whatnot, stuff they talk about. They seem like really cool guys. Like, this is the group of guys that I would love to meet and just hang out. You know?
And I've never seen Archspire live, and that needs to change. I can't believe all the shows I've ever been to, I can't believe I've never seen Archspire. But I want to.
These guys carry a theme well. Like I've said throughout this whole review, they carry a theme well, and it works very well for the album, and it makes it much more enjoyable to listen to as opposed to some of these other tech death bands out there.
And the vocals too. A lot of bands like to do, pig squeals and growls, and you can't make any sense, and it's all about the music. But I mean, what do? Do you do tongue twisters just at increasing BPM? Because I don't know how you do that. This guy, he's so syncopated with everything, and that really gets me. This record actually is inspiring to me. It makes me want to go listen to more classical guitar, which I haven't done in quite some time.
I want to dig up my old Yngwie playlist there. And going to their very technical, very precise feel, they were actually used there's a company called DataBots. They're creating this network to basically stream and make up a tech death song 24/7, and they used Archspire to fuel their AI for it because they got better results with these guys because they're so machine-like and so on time. Now, I don't know if that obviously plays to their point of being precise, but it also, for me, shows that it can be fairly predictable. If a machine AI is using your stuff to greater efficiency than other things, it means you're easier to dissect.
That's true.
And interpret and foreshadow what's coming. So true. Maybe it leads into the predictability of the band, but they do a good job of maintaining a theme so much that it makes the songs enjoyable to listen to. And it doesn't seem like they're using the same patterns in their songs, yet they are, really.
I mean, to be honest, I wish these songs were longer, but I get it, because by the end of this record, and it's not a long record, like 35 minutes and some change, I feel tired for everybody in the band.
Yeah, they're going.
Spencer, brother, I don't know how you do it. I really don't. I've watched videos. I don't get it. I don't know how your kick is that fast. I don't know how. I know there's gravity blast, but I know you're not doing that because I've watched. I don't get it. Help me to understand.
So we have Ollie Peters on vocals, who's a great vocalist. His cadences are on par with Corpse Grinder, I think. Toby Morelli on guitar, Dean Lamb on guitar, Jared Smith on the bass, and like I said, Spencer on the drums. These guys are musicians.
Yes, this is a good example of. This is a great example of practicing your instruments and not doing disservice to the genre.
Yes.
Yep.
In Abandon the Linear, the lead harmonies work really well, but I wish I would have taken the tempo of the drums down a notch in that riff after the first lead. I think it was just an opportunity for Spencer to bring it down just for a little bit, to make it different and not be so predictable about it. You know he's going to do fast. You know he's going to go fast.
Right.
That was a good opportunity and a good riff for that, to really break it up and go into like a halftime sort of drum feel. If just for a moment, one of those little snip shots, I think it would have had an opportunity to not be so by the numbers.
I agree. I did think about that during that part specifically. I was like, it's cool, and it's cool that they can do this kind of lower tempoed lead with these drums in the back, and it still worked, but I think it would have been cooler if he would have maybe slowed down just a little bit, just to kind of add a little bit more spice and flavor to that song.
And let those guitars breathe a little bit.
Right, especially if you're going to have like 2.5, 3-minute songs. Like, you're going to want to show a little bit more, just a little bit more flow, I think.
Yeah, wind the path a little bit.
But I mean, I'm still not complaining, because, for one, I can't do that. I don't know anybody that can except for Spencer Pruitt.
Yeah, and honestly, this is like nitpicky stuff, really, because there's not much wrong with this album.
There really isn't.
And then, which is why I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. And this is a solid album. I don't know that I would give any tech death metal band a 4 out of 5, to be honest. Like I said, I'm not an overly huge fan of the genre. This is a great example of good tech death, and these guys have a very bright future. This album is killer. It was better than their last album, and I enjoyed their last album. Their last album was very clean production-wise. This one is not as clean, but it helps with the feel of tech death. I think it needs a little bit of grit, and there's a little bit of parts where stuff gets a little buried in there sometimes, but it adds to the frantic feel of everything and the fast, breakneck speed. So this is a killer album. It was produced well. All the guys, you guys are great musicians.
We're serious. We actually want to hang out. If you guys, come to Detroit or Cleveland, we are serious. We would like to meet you guys and just chit chat for a minute.
Yeah, let me know and I'll get a rack of ribs going in the smoker, bud.
Ooh, nice. I'm also gonna give this a 4. I was a giant tech death fan for a long time. That was my bread and butter. About the time that deathcore came out was about the time that I abandoned deathcore immediately and went into like tech death. Bands like Beneath the Massacre and Beyond Creation. Really, I would like to see Archspire play with Beyond Creation. I think that would be fucking sick. I think this record is really well done, and I like the clarity of everything and how while there was noodling, it was not the primary focus. Really, the primary focus they went with was groove, which really gets lost in tech death a whole lot.
It is really hard to do well in tech death.
Well, and that too, and these guys do it so well, such fine precision. How do you have picking hands anymore? They've got to be robotic. Are you guys partially the $6 Million Man?
They joked around in an interview about that Databots thing. It's like, it's probably because we're all robots.
Yeah, I would agree to that. No, the songs were really well done. To be honest, I wish they were longer, but I get it.
Yeah. And I wouldn't. I mean, just a few more songs. I just want more music.
Yeah, or just a couple more songs. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna just have to listen to all 4 albums in a row to really get a grasp on everything. But yeah, very well done. Very well put together, and once again, I really love that video where you make your moms listen to all of this and give their
That's awesome.
reaction. Yeah, it was a reaction video, awesome. Dude. It's so cool.
So, if you like this review, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, give it a thumbs down. No hard feelings here. We got Patreon. We have shirts, thrallsofmetal@gmail.com. And if you're an up-and-coming band, unsigned, you want your stuff listened to, Jammin Jon has got you covered in What's John Jammin'. That email is jamminjon666@gmail.com. And he will get back with you. And until next time.